Welcome to Horns High Studios and another episode of 666 Seconds of Murder. You guys know the drill. Each one of these is less than 666 seconds or 11 minutes and 6 seconds. So don't have a lot of time. Gonna get to it. I know you guys like the short and succinct information, so I don't want to let you down. This time, though, talking about the Delphi, Indiana case. And a big win for Richard Allen, the suspect in the case. Keep in mind, this video is for entertainment purposes only. These are my personal opinions and speculation. I'm not trying to say anybody's guilty or innocent. That's for a court to decide, not us. So I thought this was a good case to talk about. And some news about what's going on here. So for those of us that have been following the Delphi, Indiana case, it's been a long and winding road for sure. Finally, there's some good news for that suspect, Richard Allen. Now, I'm sure some of you may believe he's guilty, and some of you may be completely the other way. It's very similar to Idaho 4 in that the way the public looks at Brian Kohberger in that case, very similar. Last week, though, the Indiana Supreme Court ordered Richard Allen's original defense team of Andrew Baldwin and Brad Rosie that they could represent him again. They were appointed by the judge as public defenders, and even though they are accomplished lawyers from two different law firms, it was Judge Fran Gull who removed them from the case, kind of a crazy one, involving some leaked crime scene photos that what happened was a person was visiting one of the attorney's offices, Baldwin, and took pictures with his cell phone of some crime scene pictures he found. And they leaked. And, he emailed them to somebody, and that person later took his own life. And others that got the email disseminated it to different YouTube creators and podcasters. Now, for the record, no one has ever contacted me or any of us at Murder Metal Mayhem with that stuff. I wouldn't be interested in it anyway. So, I'm a father and grandfather, and I can't imagine what those families are going through with those victims. Oh, that's just absolutely awful. So, no, I would never be interested in any of that nonsense. But the leak happened, and, even though it did, I don't see how the judge felt it necessary to remove both lawyers because Rosie wasn't in that office. He worked in his own, different office altogether. And Richard Allen wanted Baldwin and Rosie to represent him, despite the leak. He really liked them. They had built up a good rapport, and I just think it was completely outrageous for Judge Gull to remove those lawyers against his wishes. Now, to make things even crazier, both Baldwin and Rosie agreed to represent Richard Allen pro bono. That's no charge. They believe that Richard is not guilty and spent a year working tirelessly on this case. They built up, a good relationship with him, and they believe in him. And that's awesome. And the fact that the judge went against that is just, to me, it's a travesty. Now, I applaud those two lawyers for wanting to stand up for their client like they did. I think that's awesome. And especially since they offered to do it at no cost. Say what you want about lawyers, but I'm going to give credit where credit is due. And these two are aces in my book. Now, I feel that the issue with Judge Gull with Baldwin and Rosie stems from their Franks memorandum that they filed in September of last year. Now, a Franks motion is when a defense attorney is challenging the validity of a search warrant. And if you recall, that memorandum they wrote had many scathing things to say about the Delphi Police Department to refute that search warrant. If you recall, it was when they executed the search warrant on Richard Allen's home that they found a rifle that they say was ballistically matched to some marks found on an unspent round at the scene of the abduction. Now, I'm assuming, they felt the gun was used to control the victim. But on the cell phone of one of the girls, you hear a voice say, "He's got a gun." So they had the wherewithal to record video, which is just unbelievable. Now, just like we see with the Idaho 4 case, the evidence of that unspent round and those markings is very shaky depending on which expert you listen to. And also the question in the true crime community, like always, very skeptical of law enforcement, wondering, was that round, placed there? Was it, illegally put in place and used to, drag him into jail? Now, the memorandum goes on to say that guards at the prison, and I'm going to get to that. Yeah, I'm talking about a prison, not a jail, where they were keeping Richard Allen, wore patches on their uniforms that were of the Odinist religion. The attorneys go on to say that the crimes were committed by an Odinist cult that was in that area. And I'm going to do a whole video on Odinists because it's definitely some crazy stuff. And it's associated with white supremacy and all that. So it's not a good organization. They named people in the area that were known to be in this cult and that had posted things on social media and said things to people. I mean, really crazy stuff. And one of the men that they named has a son that dated one of the victims. So a tie there for sure. But we just don't know. I mean, nobody's saying anybody did anything, but these were the claims made in that memorandum. So that's why I think maybe Judge Gull kind of had it out for these two. Now, the crazy thing was that after this came out, when everybody thought this was a total farce, it was confirmed that two of the guards had the Odinist patches on their uniforms. I mean, how crazy is that? Of course, they were made to remove them after the fact, but my gosh, and the lawyers claim that the guards were mistreating Richard and they were made to, did things to him that, they felt were egregious. And that the reason why he was being put in a prison was because they said the jail was not sufficient for his safety. So they put him in a prison instead. And he's in solitary confinement under some pretty disturbing accusations of his treatment. Now, after Judge Gull removed Baldwin and Rosie, she appointed two other public defenders. These lawyers agreed with Baldwin and Rosie about the harsh treatment Richard Allen was enduring at the prison. And they described it to like keeping him like Hannibal Lecter, which is, wow. I mean, they used the exact term twice, I believe, in that letter that the second round of attorneys sent in. And they were forced to talk to him through a slit in his cell door from 6 feet away. I mean, how do you talk to a client like that? So Richard Allen had also wanted Judge Gull removed, but the state Supreme Court there in Indiana did not agree with that. So she's still on the case, but I kind of wonder, to save face, if they're going to let her just kind of maybe claim some sort of medical reason or some, thing that pops up that gets her off the case so she could save face on not having been removed by the Supreme Court there in Indiana. I don't know. That's just something that makes me wonder. Now, Richard Allen wanted the trial to start soon, within, I think, 60 or 70 days, and they didn't agree with that. So I don't know if the start date's been established yet, but for his sake, I hope he gets it done. I mean, this guy looks terrible. He's lost a ton of weight. I mean, he's just not healthy looking at all. So I just feel bad for the guy. I mean, again, I don't know whether he's guilty or innocent, but everybody's innocent until proven guilty. We know that, all right? I applaud these two attorneys, Baldwin and Rosie, for standing up to, do the right thing and even offering to do it for nothing. And I mean, I know lawyers get a lot of, the brunt of a lot of jokes, but this was a good thing, and I think it deserves to be pointed out. So I'm going to keep my eyes on this one. So if you're interested, though, in learning more about this case, I strongly suggest these 3 channels: Defense Diaries, Harvard Lawyer Lee, and Attorney Andrew D. Myers. These are all lawyers, very good channels, really explain things well. So I would suggest that. But let me know what you guys think about this whole situation. I want to thank the members of the Horns High Club. I appreciate you guys very much. I appreciate all of you that watch these videos, not just the Horns High Club, everybody. I appreciate it. So thank you for watching another episode of 666 Seconds of Murder, and we'll see you next time.